Bloomberg first reported that Aramco were considering another secondary share sale earlier on this year, back in January. And ever since then, we have seen a slight underperformance of the stock. Aramco stock is down about 11% year to date. It seems as though, from the investment standpoint, investors are really making room for this potential share sale. What do we know about the economics and the timing of the deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think the timing, first off, just taking a step back on the timing, like you said, down 11% so far this year as well. I think this last week, the lowest level in about a year. That's putting some idea of where the market's going to be going. Now, it could happen as soon as Sunday. I think the offering, they're going to be trying to gain interest through next Thursday. And they're aiming to raise more than $10 billion. Now, to put that into context, the initial offering a few years back for Aramco was $30 billion. So this is a smaller tranche. So far, interest has been from investors in the Middle East, Europe. Obviously, there will be a lot of interest from those institutional folks in the Middle East. But I do have to clarify that nothing has been decided yet. The exact timing and the size of it is still in flux, but what we're hearing is they're aiming for that 10 billion mark at least.
I thought it was interesting. Back in 2019, we just took a look back at the IPO, the original IPO in December 2019. And if you remember, into it, there was lots of talk about the ultimate valuation. Originally, Saudi Arabia were looking for a $2 trillion valuation, but it didn't transpire. But then equally, they ended up selling a much smaller stake of Aramco than they had hoped for, 1.5% back then. Also interesting is they offered many incentives for local buyers. Are we hearing of similar incentives to be offered this time around, or is there a feeling that people know the story well enough now to want to buy into it without those incentives?
I mean, I think, if you look at this, again, taking a step back, you look at Aramco and what they're trying to do. The story of oil demand, while Aramco is a giant company, while they are valued very highly, and while they are one of the biggest company on earth, you do have to remember that the future is not as clear. So providing those incentives to shore up that investment is likely something that they're going to be trying again, because, to hold up this valuation, to hold up this interest is remarkably important for Crown Prince MBS. When you also look at what they're trying to accomplish with this, they want to diversify away from oil as well. They're looking at things like AI. They're looking at tourism. There's a number of different areas that Saudi Arabia wants to diversify into away from oil. So making sure that they can get the most out of this and the most interest is clearly a key priority. And that local investment is also key to underpin that. You're not quite seeing the exact same interest and excitement from, for example, the United States or even parts of Europe.